Hello friends, welcome back to Wawa AS. Welcome to the discussion on daily MCQ. Today is 5th of October 2021 and now we are going to discuss 5 current affair based MCQs. तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं. But first let us discuss the question that was asked yesterday, and yesterday's question was which of the following report was released by World Economic Forum? ये global IT, first one global IT report, second one global environment outlook, third one global gender inequality index, and fourth one gender transition index, and fifth one human capital index. So if you see this, all the reports, few are not released by World Economic Forum. First, if you see the global IT report, this is released by World Economic Forum. Next one, global environment outlook, if you see, this is released by UNEP. The World Economic Forum releases a report called Environment Performance Index. This is released by World Economic Forum. This is related to the performance of the countries. So performance is related to the finance. Just remember like that. So this Environment Performance Index is released by World Economic Forum. Right. Next, Global Gender Inequality Index. Gender Inequality Index is released by UNDP. Whereas the World Economic Forum releases an index called the Gender Gap Index. The Gender Gap Index. Right. The gender gap is measured by World Economic Forum. Whereas if it is related to gender inequality, this is released by UNDP. Next one, energy transition index. This is released by the World Economic Forum. And last one, the human capital index. This is also released by World Economic Forum. So the correct answer is C, 1, 4 and 5. Right? So the World Economic Forum, if you see, this is an important organization, and this releases various reports. This releases reports like Global Competitiveness Index, Global Risk Report, as I told, Gender Gap Report, the Global Human Capital report as you have seen, Global IT Report, here it is given as we have seen, okay, the Inclusive Growth and Development Report. So all these reports are released by the World Economic Forum. Okay, so just go back and revise other reports also released by other major organizations like World Bank, Asian Development Bank, the UNEP, UNDP, UNESCO, okay, the Labour Organization, so and International Energy Agency. So just look at all of these important organizations. And guys, as you know, the questions what we are discussing is given to you. The questions and the solutions is given to you in the form of a PDF, and this PDF is available at free of cost in our Telegram channel. The Telegram channel details are there in the description, so you can just download it from there. Now let's look at the first question. The first question is related to public interest litigation. First one, the concept of public interest litigation has been borrowed from American jurisprudence. Okay. The second statement says that PIL can be filed only in the High Court. So if you see the first statement, this is right. The public interest litigation is borrowed from the American jurisprudence. But the second statement is wrong because the PIL can be filed in Supreme Court and not the High Court. So that's why the second statement is wrong. So A1 only is the correct answer. So recently the Supreme Court scolded a petitioner for filing this public interest litigation without adequate research. Because without adequate research, if a PIL is filed in front of the Supreme Court, then it wastes the time of the Supreme Court. The PIL is the use of law to advance human rights and equality or raise issues of broader public concern. This PIS has been borrowed from the public interest litigation. From American jurisdiction. PIL, public interest litigation, is borrowed from the American jurisprudence. In Indian law, the PIL means litigation for the prosecution of public interest. It is a litigation introduced in the court of law, not by the aggrieved party, but by the court itself or by any other private party. So it is the power actually given to the public by the courts through its judicial activism. And remember this name, Justice Bhagwati. He is very instrumental in developing this public interest litigation. This public interest litigation came into India in 1980 in fact. It can be filed only in the Supreme Court, as I told already, or the High Court. Only the Supreme Court or the High Court, and it is different from writ petition. Writ petition means the aggrieved individual generally will be filing, or on behalf of him, his close ones will be filing. But here public interest litigation basically deals with all the issues. And also another thing is that in writ petition, only if your fundamental rights are violated, it can be filed. But whereas if you see this public interest litigation, if the rights of larger public are being violated, if any right which involves larger public interest or if any law is going against the larger interest of the public, then this PIL can be filed. The concept of PIL is suited to the principles enshrined in Article 39A of the Constitution to protect and deliver prompt social justice with the help of law. Areas where PIL can be filed are pollution, terrorism, road safety, construction hazards, etc., etc. right? Now let's look at the next question, the second question. Project Godwan, sometimes referred in the media, is associated to A. Protect the endangered Great Indian Bustard, B. FCI initiative to outsource its stocking operations, C. Security of national highways, and D. Indigenous satellite navigation system. Okay, the project Godawan. The correct answer is A. Protection of the Great Indian Bustard, of the endangered Great Indian Bustard. So Great Indian Bustard is very important from the examination point of view as well as for the environment as well. Its IUCN status is critically endangered. It is placed in the Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1971. Even in the sites also it is placed in Appendix 1. In CMS it is placed in Appendix 1. It is one of the heaviest flying birds and it is a state animal of Rajasthan. Project Godawan is launched by the Rajasthan government for its conservation. It usually resides in the dry grasslands, so it can be found in somewhere between the grasslands of Gujarat and Rajasthan. So mostly it is found in Rajasthan itself. Even in Pakistan also it can be found. Now let's look at the third question. It's a previous year CSE question of 2015. The question is, the Government of India Act of 1919 clearly defines A. The separation of power between judiciary and the legislature, B. The jurisdiction of central and the provincial governments, C. The power of Secretary of State of India and the Viceroy, and D. None of the above. And the correct answer is B. The jurisdiction of the central and provincial governments. As you might have known, the 1919 Act is also known as the Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act, and here Chelmsford is the Viceroy. Remember this as well. Chelmsford is the Viceroy. So, if you see this, it relaxed the 1919 Act relaxed the central control over the provinces by demarcating and separating the central and provincial subjects. So, diarchy was introduced in this 1919 Act only, diarchy, where the subjects are divided into two parts. We will see that. The central and the provincial legislatures were authorized to make laws on their respective list of subjects. The structure of the government continued to be centralized and unitary. It further divided the provincial subjects into two parts, the transfer subject and the reserved subject. The transfer subjects are administered by the governor, whereas the reserved subjects are administered by the governor and his executive council. Okay, without being responsible to the legislative council. That means these transfer subjects, if you see, they will be administered by the governor with the aid of ministers who are responsible. So the transfer subjects will be administered by the governor, okay, and the reserved subjects by the legislative council. This dual scheme is known as diarchy, as I told already, and it introduced for the first time the bicameralism and direct elections in the country. The Indian Legislative Council was replaced by a bicameral legislature consisting of upper house and the lower house. The majority of members of both the houses were chosen by the direct election. It granted franchises to a limited number of people based on property, tax or education. And it required that the 3 of the 6 members of the Viceroy's Executive Council, 3 of the 6 from the Viceroy's Executive Council were to be Indian. It extended the principle of communal representation by providing separate electorate for Sikh, Christian, Anglo-Indian and European. It created a new office of High Commissioner for India in London and transferred to him some of the functions performed by the Secretary of State. Okay, and also it provided for establishment of the Public Service Commission, which was established in 1926. Hence, the Central Public Service Commission was established, and it separated for the first time the provincial budget from the central budget. And it provided for the appointment of statutory commission to inquire into the report on its working after 10 years, and this resulted in the formation of the Simon Commission. Okay? Now let's move on. The fourth question. With respect to Rowlatt Satyagraha, which of the following statements are correct? It's a 2015 question. The Rowlatt Act was based on the recommendation of Sedition Committee. In Rowlatt Satyagraha, Gandhiji tried to utilize the Home Rule League. Third one, the demonstrations against the arrival of Simon Commission coincided with the Rowlatt Satyagraha. So here we have to choose the correct answer from the below given quotes. A 1 only, B 1 and 2 only, C 2 and 3, and D 1, 2 and 3. So the Rowlatt Act was based on the recommendation of Sedition Committee. This is the right statement. The second statement says, in Rowlatt Satyagraha, Gandhiji tried to utilize the Home Rule League. This is also right. But the third statement, if you see, the demonstrations against arrival of Simon Commission coincided with the Rowlatt Act. This is wrong, because Simon Commission came somewhere in 1927, whereas this Rowlatt Satyagraha took place in 1919 itself. So the correct answer is B 1 and 2 only. The Rowlatt Committee was a sedition committee set up in 1917. As the name suggests, It was to look upon the growing terrorism in India against the British authority. This terrorism was the rise in nationalist sentiments and voicing opinions against the colonial government. On the suggestion of this committee, the Rowlatt Act was established. So this is a correct point. The Home Rule League was prominent from 1916 to 1918. Gandhiji had incorporated many big and small organizations of national interest into this protest against the Rowlatt Act, and the All India Home Rule League was amongst them. So this point is also correct. So the Simon Commission was sent to India in 1927. So the third statement is wrong. Now let's look at the last question, the fifth question. The Quit India movement was launched in response to, it's a 2013 question. A. Cabinet Mission Plan, B. Cripps proposal, C. Simon Commission report, and D. Wavell Plan. Guys, what you have to do is prepare all the plans separately, right from the August offer till the Dickey Bird plan or the Mountbatten plan. Okay, this chronology is very important for the exam. So here if you see the Quit India movement, first the August offer was given by Lord Linlithgow. After that, after it was rejected by the Indians, then came this Cripps proposal. So the correct answer is B. After this Cripps proposal only, the Quit India movement was launched. Now let's look at the question of the day. The explanation is given here. The Quit India movement is also known as the August Revolution, was launched after the failure of Cripps mission. So on 8th of August 1942, All India Congress Committee in the session in Bombay has launched this Quit India movement during the World War, in fact. So this was a civil disobedience movement in response to Gandhiji's call for satyagraha, and first time Indian tricolor was hoisted when Aruna Asaf Ali hoisted the tricolor flag in Gowalia Tank Maidan proudly. Remember this Gowalia Tank Maidan. These days you never know from where UPSC is asking questions. So such small trivia is important. Gowalia Tank. In the speech entitled Do or Die, given on by the Gandhi. So Do or Die is during the Quit India movement by Gandhi. Remember this as well. Now let's look at the question of the day. The question of the day is, which of the following schedule in the constitution contains provisions of the anti-defection law? A. Second schedule, B. Fifth schedule, C. Eighth schedule, and D. 10th schedule. Do give your answer in the comment box, and tomorrow we will discuss this question. And guys, as you know, we are providing the summaries of Vision Prelims Test Series, Vision Mains Test Series, Vision Monthly Magazine, and Vision PT 365. You can check the quality of these summaries from our Telegram channel, and you can subscribe to this, because as you know, time is very crucial in the last few days. If you want to revise anything thoroughly and very fastly, you can use these courses. So that's it guys from my side. I'll see you again tomorrow with 5 more MCQs. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.